if I want to fly like I'm standing up, I'll do it because I'm Ultron. What is going on, you optic blasters? I am Chris, and today on Nostalgia Dig, we are going to be continuing with Mixed Lot number Mark, which is a box of stuff that was sent to me by my friend Mark. And we've done 2 videos on it, and I think I should be able to finish it, but I'm not sure because there is some mystery stuff at the bottom of this box. So without further ado, let's dig in. All right, so there is a Ziploc bag that says Shadowrun Duels Series 1. So there, it looks to be a few action figures here. I don't know much about Shadowrun at all. I know it was like a tabletop game. They made video games. It's kind of like cyberpunk meets fantasy meets, you know, kind of like dark urban type environment. As far as I know, I've never really done anything or read it or watched or played anything with Shadowrun, so I don't know much at all. This looks like an orc, if I had to guess. He has dreads, you know, like a vest. It's a cool toy. Like he's got some technology stuff happening on his back. So yeah, like melding of worlds. Copyright 2003 WizKids LLC, made in China. So WizKids. Same company that makes Heroclix, I believe. Yeah, he's cool. I'll just keep going with these guys because there's a few of them here. It looks like we have an elf lady. She's got looks like some magic swirling around her hand here, and her hand is translucent. That's pretty cool. She's got baggy jeans on and a tank top, but also like an elven cloak. She's got a little symbol on her cloak here. It's like 2 with a shield. I think this is a game. I mean, these are just straight up cool looking action figures, but I think this is actually a game. And as I dig more into this bag, we'll see. I'll learn more about it, hopefully. All right, next we have this lady. Oh yeah, she has symbols on her back too. 3, shield, and another thing. Interesting. Yeah, they're like articulated action figures as well. And I have this guy. Looks like a guy you don't mess with. Like a cowboy, got a metal hand. It's like some skull makeup on his face, maybe. And sunglasses. Pretty cool. So that's the 4 figures, and there's more in this bag. There's this little, like a spirit dragon or something. A little translucent dragon thing. I don't know if this is made to hook onto one of the figures or not. I can't really tell. It's pretty cool though. You can make that out there. And there are 4 of these big discs. And the markings on here look like sort of like Heroclix, like how you play that game. Spin things and get different values in these holes here, and these will tell you kind of how this character fights. So, but they're big enough that these action figures look to attach to these bases. And I think they open. There's something, I can hear something rattling around in there. Oh yeah, there's a ton of stuff in here. This little die. Oh yeah, there's 4-side, 6-side, 8 and 10, maybe just 10-sided die. Some weapons, like knives and guns. And then a bunch of decals, instruction manual. Wow, this is like a whole thing, like a whole game. I've never even heard of this before. I didn't know they made Heroclix things this big either. I've never seen this before in my life. So, basing on how far these pegs are apart, we might be able to guess which goes to which. Kayushi. I don't know. One of them is Kayushi. One of them is Liata. Could be wrong, but I'm gonna maybe guess that this is Liata because her feet fit into those pegs. But we'll see. We have the Street Deacon. He's got a wide stance, so I think it's this guy. Yep, I believe this is the Street Deacon. And finally, G-Dog. Okay. So the elven lady with the cloak is probably not G-Dog. Yep. He fits on there. So G-Dog, the orc gentleman, the Street Deacon. The question is which one's Liata and which one is Kayushi? Liata sounds more like an elven name to me, so I'm going to see if she fits on here. Okay. Liata also fits on the space. And I'm going to go ahead and say this is Liata, not the other woman. I'm going to call her Kayushi. She fits on this one pretty well. She looks more like a Kayushi than the elven lady, although who knows, in this universe, I don't know what the naming conventions are, but G-Dog was pretty on the nose with that character, so I'm going to go with on the nose for the other ones as well. Those are really cool. It says duels, so I'm guessing each player has one character and you fight against each other. Maybe you can do 2-on-2 or 3-on-3, I'm not sure. There are instructions here, so I will poke through them later. If they're overly complicated, my mind just starts to wander off and I just start looking at the figures again. Some more instructions, a little stand for something. Can't really see a hole in the dragon that would fit to it, but yeah, that's really cool. Something that's brand new to me. I never have even heard of that before, so I'm happy to learn something new about Shadowrun. And I'm going to say finally, because there's only one more thing in the box, but it's another box, and I have no idea what's in here. So let's take a look. Oh my goodness. Okay. This is a whole box full of Heroclix. This could be its own video probably, but I'm just going to keep going. Finish this off right now. This is awesome, and thank you again, Mark. This is really cool. From what I can see right away, looks like we have a mix of Marvel and DC, which is cool. Look at this Gorilla Grodd holding the skull. That one's awesome. Look at this guy. Yep, copyright 2002, DC Comics, and WizKids. This one's really cool. This one might be one of the cooler ones that I've seen. Next, we have Green Lantern here. Looks like Jon Stewart. Not former Daily Show host Jon Stewart. There's a Green Lantern also named Jon Stewart. I think there was something with these, depending on where you set this, it indicates how high this character is flying, to do with maybe how much damage it takes or deals. I haven't really played Heroclix much. Like, I bought some just because they're collectible and they're cool. I played once or twice with one of my friends, and I never really played enough to get the hang of how it really works. We played it and finished a game, but I don't, this was many years ago. I don't remember even how to play it. I'm gonna keep going because there's a lot in here. All right, here we go. Very angry Abomination from Marvel. One of Hulk's enemies. He's been in the movies too. Most recently was in a few things. I think he was in Shang-Chi, and he's going to be in She-Hulk as well. She-Hulk series. It's not out yet at the recording of this, but it should be out soonish. That's cool. Abomination. Cool. We got a Wonder Woman. Looks like she's got the flying apparatus here as well. I think they all have a number here that when you're building your team, you have like a cap, and you can have as many characters on your team as long as those numbers don't add up to over, like, I don't remember if it was like 500 or 400 or something like that. So you could have, like, you know, 2 or 3 really big, strong ones, or you could have a bunch of little ones as long as the numbers added up to that number or less. I think that's how it went. Oh, wow. Look at this Mr. Fantastic. That's wonderful. Why would he even be making this shape? Just because the sculptor wanted to do it, probably. Yeah, that's a really good one. Very dramatic pose. All right, we have Moondragon here. Very cool. She's a flyer as well. I believe she is Drax's daughter. Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. And somehow, there's a lot of weird stuff that went on with them. But I believe that she might be Drax's daughter. And she's a cool outer space character. All right, here we have the Mandarin. Looks like he can fly as well. So the Mandarin has the 10 rings on his fingers. And those kind of were made into the 10 rings, like Shang-Chi's 10 rings that go around his wrists. They were sort of like, they changed that story a little bit to fit that. And then in the comics, they've separated those two things as well. They've introduced the actual Shang-Chi Rings of Power as separate things from Mandarin's rings. So I thought that was interesting. It was like one thing sprung into two things, and now they're two separate things. Cool. All right, here we have Hawkman. Looks like he got separated from his base. So he's not currently a game piece. He is just a cool little figure with his brutal maces and axes that he wields. Right, we have a really cool Green Goblin here on his glider with the trail of fire. That's great. That's just a nice touch. Ready to hurl a pumpkin bomb right into the camera here. A lot of flyers in this group. Some good air battles to be had here. I love the design. I think I've said this in a previous video, but Green Goblin, I think, is one of the better designed villains of all time. He just has such an iconic look. He's so good. Okay, here's Hawkman. Yeah. Hawkman officially is now a game piece again. Okay, here we have Robin. Not sure which one. Maybe Tim Drake, if I had to guess. Yeah, I feel like Tim Drake had like this type of cape and costume. Maybe the other ones did as well. All right, we have this really cool Iceman here, sliding around. Currently just a figure, not a game piece, but we'll see if that's in there. I like how much they can do with these little figures. Some of them are better than others, but some of them are really good. Like, this is a really cool figure. Look at the action on that. All right, we have Aquaman. This version of Aquaman is sort of like bridges the gap between classic Aquaman and current movie Aquaman. I feel like this is like the perfect in-between to those, because he's got like this harpoon hand and long hair and beard. Looks more like what he looks like now cool, like, metal armor here. They really tried to update Aquaman's image because he was starting to be seen as a joke more. I think this was part of that. That's cool. Alright, we have She-Hulk here. Currently very relevant in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She has a show coming out soon. Like, at the recording of this, it comes out in a couple of weeks, I believe. And I'm excited about it. I've always liked She-Hulk as a character. Now, there's been a little bit of concern about the CG, like, on her face. I know they continue to work on these shows right up until they release them a lot of times. Sometimes even after they release them. I think the final version will look good. I don't think it looks terrible in the previews, but I think they could do better. Like, I think Bruce as the Hulk's face looks better than Jennifer's does. But I think that will even out. I think they'll get there. Okay, here we have Batgirl. I don't read a ton of DC comics, but I'm currently reading a comic called Batgirls, where it's Barbara Gordon and then two of the younger Batgirls that all teamed up. And one of them looks a lot like this, like with the full face mask and the bat ears. I don't remember all of their names, but I'm really enjoying the comic. It's fun. It's Batgirl. Here we have a intense-looking Doctor Strange. Another flyer. Ready to shoot some magic at some people. I think I may have this one. Or I do have a Doctor Strange. I don't know if I have this specific one, though. Yeah, because I don't remember if the one I have is a flyer or not, but yeah, there's another little Steven there. Next, we have a Spiderman. Now, they've been making Heroclix for a long time. I don't remember when they started, but they're still making them. And it makes me wonder, like, how popular they are, like, how the community is, how much it's changed over the years. Because I was surprised the other day to see that they're still selling them. Like newer things. They still make Heroclix. If these older game pieces, or the ones I have might be even older than this, if they're still allowed, like if those interact with the new ones. Because I know like Magic cards, a lot of times they exclude or retire older ones, and you can only use the newer ones in tournaments and stuff. Like, I wonder if there's anything similar to that with Heroclix. Right, Spidey. We have a Logan. There he is. Little tip of the hat from Logan. Alright, we have an Iron Man here in a very cool pose. Might have this one. I know I have an Iron Man in this pose. I don't know if they've made more than one, but it was a free one that I got either like at a Comic-Con or from a comic store. I remember it was in its own little special package. So could be this one. I've always really liked this. Another flyer. Okay, here we have the Joker holding up some fish. That was from a comic. I don't even remember what comic that was from, but this feels like very specifically from a specific comic. Currently watching the Harley Quinn animated series, and I really like it. It's really funny. I feel like it took me a long time to watch it because Harley Quinn, it's like I don't dislike that character by any means, but she's never been one of my favorites either. Like I don't absolutely need to see or read anything with Harley Quinn in it right away. But I really like how they do this show. It's got a really good sense of humor. It's got a really good voice cast. And Joker plays a part in it. I won't spoil anything. But, yeah. There he is. And his good buddy, Batman. That's a cool figure on the gargoyle there. Just a very stoic, dramatic Batman figure. This cape billowing. Yeah, good one. I like this one. Okay, and Batman's good buddy, Superman. I don't remember the Superman with the little lines on the side like that. That's probably from a very specific story, but that's, I don't know, not one that I'm familiar with. Old Soups. Okay, we have Sabretooth here, looking very vicious, ready to fight, as usual. It's funny. Something I just read, like I put all my comic books into a app that kind of just keeps track of them, and it tells you if it's a key comic or not. And I have some old issues of Wolverine, and I think they're a little loose with what is considered a key comic sometimes. Because one of them, it's like Sabretooth reveals that he may be Wolverine's father. Like that was the reason that it was a key. And then 2 issues later, also a key, it is revealed that Sabretooth is not actually Wolverine's father. Is that really worthy of calling a comic a key issue? I feel like something that's just a story beat. I feel like something that important happens in almost every comic book, but not every comic book is a key issue. I don't know. I just thought that was funny. And that's my Sabretooth story. All right. We have the Hulk here. Rampaging. That's a cool figure, too. The ripped clothing. That face. It's just ready to destroy anything in his path. Hulk is a really interesting character. I've been reading newer Hulk lately, and he's not a hero, you know? He's not a good guy. He's just a force that needs to be dealt with or reckoned with a lot of times. It's just impossible. Sometimes it's just impossible for him to be seen as a hero, and sometimes he's straight up a villain. Depending on the story and the situation, he's just a really interesting character that can be taken a lot of different places. And I don't think I realized that when I was younger. Like, I wasn't really into the Hulk when I was younger, but I am more so now. Here we have the Rhino. Speaking of rampaging, look at the action on this. It's so good. That's what he does. He knows his strengths and he knows what he's good at, and it's this, running headfirst into things. That's wonderful. I love it. All right, here we have Elektra wearing her black gear, which is odd. So I know she has worn black gear before and white, but those are the exceptions to the rule of her almost always wearing red. And for her to be immortalized in Heroclix form in black is an interesting choice, but still cool. She looks very like Conan the Barbarian era here, which is interesting because in the comics they were on the same team for a little bit, called the Savage Avengers. But I just heard that Marvel is kind of relinquishing the rights to Conan again, so that's all soon to end. Okay, we have Swamp Thing here. Cool character. I think I read once that Man-Thing was actually created before Swamp Thing by a couple of months. There was a lot of leaking of information back and forth at some point between Marvel and DC, and I think there was a little bit of one-upsmanship at some point. But Swamp Thing, I would say by far a more popular character than Man-Thing, but I think Man-Thing was actually first. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Okay, here we have Captain America with his old school shield. Just dusting it off and bringing out the old one. Striking a very heroic pose. cap. Okay, we have an Ultron. We'll get him on his base here. There we go. Also a flyer, even though he doesn't look like he's flying. He can do what he wants. He's Ultron. It's like, if I want to fly like I'm standing up, I'll do it because I'm Ultron. Interesting character as well. I mean, going back to him being created and just lots of ripples that created. Okay, here we have Dr. Doom getting on his base here. Again, flying, but in a standing pose position of power, because it's Victor Von Doom, and he always is shown in a position of power. Probably soon to be quite relevant in the movie universe, I would say. In the next phases coming up, we're going to be seeing a lot of Dr. Doom. Here's the Thing. Look at that face. Oh, it's great. Again, we'll be seeing the Thing sooner than later, I would say, in the Marvel Universe movies and TV shows. Always a good character, very lovable, kind of the heart of the team. Okay, here's Iceman's base. Iceman, once again a game piece. Okay, we have the Vision. There you go, flying off to the side there in a very dramatic pose. They made him a little bit translucent to, show that he can become intangible. Again, he is one of, I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of ripples that came out of Ultron. Vision is very strongly tied into all that. Been in a lot of movies and TV shows, which is cool. Hopefully we see a little bit more, because there's more story to tell with Vision. And finally, we have Nova. And I saw this base and I saw that it said Nova, but this is not the Nova that I was expecting. This is the Nova that was one of the Heralds of Galactus. Hung out with Silver Surfer. I believe she might be deceased in the comics now. Yeah, she's just like a cool, fiery outer space lady with the power cosmic given to her by Galactus. And a flyer. And that does it for Mixed Lot Number Mark. There was a ton of really fun stuff in there, and I just have to say thank you to Mark for sending that over to me. I really appreciate that, and I think that makes for some really interesting things to look at. And I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for watching. If you're enjoying these videos, please consider subscribing, and if you're subscribed, just watching the videos is what helps me the most, and thank you. I hope that you're all having a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next dig.